Hi, everyone. My name is Jess from the channel Don't Mess with Jess Horror Reviews. And today I'll be doing Women in Horror series on, of course, the Horror Miser Monty G's channel. I hope you all enjoy.
Y'all ready for this? Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. Hey, horror fans! Once again, it is me, the Horror Miser Monty G. Welcome once again to another episode of my awesome series, Women in Horror, where we celebrate the contribution women have done in horror. And I have another excellent YouTuber on hand right here. She calls herself Don't Mess with Jess. Say hello, Jess.
Hello, boys and girls, witches and vampires, goblins and ghouls, and welcome to the nightmare.
There's one of the things I really loved about when I caught your videos on my feed is I loved, oh man, she's got an interesting intro. And of course, I love your breakdown of all the videos that you do. So I reached out to you to see if you wanted to come on my Women's in Horrors. And here we are right now because one of the things I have done since I started this Women in Horror series is I interview mostly YouTubers such as yourself, also women who've been in horror films, whether it be behind the camera or in front of the camera, written horror books, do podcasts, cosplay, scare actors, anything that women have done. Because without women, I don't think the horror genre would have survived as long as it has.
Yes, that's really awesome. And thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so obviously the first question I always start off with, because as you know, people don't assume women would like horror because it's bloody, it's gory, and then women wouldn't like that. It's like, how could a woman like something like that? So what eventually got you into horror, and what was the first horror film that you saw that got you into horror?
So, my love for horror stems from my late father. My first horror movie that I can remember, my introduction to horror, was Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is still hands down my favorite Dracula movie of all time. And I saw it when I was, I believe, about 3 or 4 years old.
Ooh.
And my dad had a love for horror, and he showed it to me. And from the get, even at that young age, I just loved it and gravitated towards it. And it's something that him and I always bonded over. And it was like, a new horror movie would get released in the theater or whatever. And it was like our bonding time. We'd go see it. And so it holds a lot of special memories for me. And since then, my love for horror has just grown exponentially, as people can probably guess and see by my channel.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at what you got behind you. Captain Spaulding, and of course Michael Myers in the background. Hey, look at me!
Yeah.
I got my Freddy T-shirt.
Yeah. I got Art
You
the
got
Clown.
Art the Clown. Yeah, I gotta get me one. Yeah, get me an Art the Clown. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be heading out to Crypticon in about 2 weeks. Let's see if I get an Art the Clown T-shirt there.
Nice. Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, it's sort of like kind of like mirrors my introduction to horror. Obviously, I'm from the baby boomer generation. Unfortunately, where you had a nice bond with your father in love of horror. Unfortunately, my bond was just by myself because my mother did not understand the fact that why do I like horror films. And of
Yeah.
course, I told my mother they're funny. I wasn't scared. I just thought they were really funny. I would crack up seeing a whole bunch of stuff. And my introduction to horror was watching Universal Monsters: The Mummy. I was about 6 or 7 years old when I first started, and eventually I saw, all the Universal monsters from Dracula, Werewolf, Frankenstein, the
Oh,
Hammer horror films, and then
oh.
so on and so on,
Mhm.
so on and so on. So both at a young, did you actually understood what was happening at the age of 3 when watching Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Probably not. I just remember I loved the costumes. I love the
Mm-hmm.
period clothing, and being a girl, I guess that kind of drew me in some,
Mm-hmm.
but also just the way that Gary Oldman presented himself and the regalness and being a prince, and Winona Ryder is amazing. I love her as an actress. I love the way she was portrayed in that film. So I think that's
Mm-hmm.
probably where some of the draw came from. But I also, so my dad was a baby boomer and he was big into like black and white old horror movies, Hammer films, Vincent Price. I love old Vincent Price films. And then
Hmm.
he also got me into Abbott and Costello films,
Oh,
which, which I love. My favorite is Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Oh yeah, I love that one. Yeah,
I
when you
watch
were
it.
because yeah,
Yep, I watch
watching
it all
that.
the time. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
watching that blending comedy and horror was fantastic. I really that's one of my favorite horror comedies.
yep,
You know, being old school, but Abbott and Costello, seeing how they react to seeing the seriousness of Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, and of course, and Frank and boy, I can't remember his name, the
Lon
werewolf guy,
Chaney.
Elon Chaney. You know, in their old roles and seeing them and seeing how they react to their seriousness was quite funny.
Oh yeah, it holds a lot of special memories for me, and it's memories and a film that I share with my daughter now, which we
Uh,
bond over. So kind of carrying that legacy through that my father started with me. So yeah, I
Yes,
love
yes.
it a lot.
Yeah, I have to ask you a question about that since you are a mother. Um, Next question is, did you ever hear about the organization known as Women in Horror?
No,
Hmm. Yeah, it
no,
started off as a grassroots operation. I'm starting to probably either before or after the pandemic that I actually discovered it from a friend of mine's, another YouTuber. He was talking about it, and I says, "Where does Women in Horror come from?" So I
yeah,
read their website, and I was very fascinated because I was, at a very young age, I was taught to respect women, and I realized that for women need to get their respect in any genre of film, but especially I realize is that this is something that I haven't seen before. I haven't seen anyone actually talk about what have women have done in the horror genre. So I figure so this is something I need to do, and this is something I've been doing for several years. The celebrations have gotten so big now. It's not just a month; it's a whole year. So I expanded it to do the whole year. That's why I'm doing it, not just during the month of March like I was normally doing.
okay. I think it's an awesome idea. I think it's an awesome concept. I think we wouldn't have a lot of the great horror films that we have if it wasn't for the Scream Queens, the Final
Hmm.
Girls. We got Laurie Strode. I mean, it's just women have made a really big contribution to horror, and it is mainly men that watch horror. I've noticed there aren't too many girls who are into horror, but it's pretty cool to communicate with the ones who are and kind of build that horror community together. And so I
Hmm.
really love the idea of women in horror. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I see. Yes, yes. What are your thoughts about regarding how women have been treated in horror films? From the Danzo and Distress days, from the old-fashioned horror films, up until now in modern horror, where we now actually only have intelligent women, but badass women in horror films.
Yeah. So I think like earlier on, women more were seen more as like sexualized characters and kind of background characters and victims.
Hmm.
And now, as we've progressed through the decades, they're stronger, they're more intelligent, they're more cunning, they're more fierce. They don't just all get killed off instantly. A lot of the times, they
Hmm.
do make it to the end. So I think throughout the years, women in horror have gotten stronger. Their roles have gotten stronger. They've been expanded on quite a bit, and I think it's kind of wonderful to see.
Oh yes, yes, yes. One of the examples that I give for this particular question is, as you can see from the original 19th, I think it's 1939 King Kong to Peter Jackson's King Kong, and you have the same character Anne Downey as portrayed either by Fay Ray or Naomi Watts. Obviously, the Fay Ray one from the 30s, she's scared all the time. She has to be rescued by a man. She's
Yeah,
afraid of Kong. But when you see Naomi Watts' Anne Downing, she's very independent. She's fierce. She actually gets mad at Kong, and she's not even actually afraid of him. She's afraid of him once because you got this big giant ape, dragging along. But she's not afraid of him. She actually makes Kong mad, but he doesn't hit her, or even threaten to eat her. So that's what I think when you see the vast differences. And you're right because when you take a look, whether it's the Universal monsters, the Hammer horror films, even the sci-fi science fiction films in the 50s and 60s, other than like say the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, they all are side characters. They all have to be saved by the man.
Yep.
very few films where you actually see a woman that's actually just as smart as a man. I think it's 1958. I don't even see this one, Tarantula. The one of the female characters, she's actually a scientist in that particular film, which is very rare that you would see that even in the 50s. So I
Yep.
think that's where you see the different contrasts between women back in the 50s, all the way back in the 30s, because even the original Black Christmas, Olivia Hussey's character, she is when she finds out that she's pregnant, she doesn't want to have the baby and she doesn't want to get married. She actually wants to complete her degree. I think that's the vast difference is how women have been portrayed in horror films.
Yeah. Yep. There's a big difference. It's definitely the climate towards women in horror has definitely
Mm,
shifted over the years, and I'm here for it.
mm. Now, how do you feel about the evolution of the final girl trope in horror films? Because I think that's also have changed as well.
Yes. So, like you said, back in the day, they were victims, men had to help them, they couldn't survive on their own, blah, blah, blah. And then you start seeing stuff like, for me, what really sticks out is Laurie Strode, the character from
Mm,
Halloween, right? Yes, she's a victim of Michael Myers. She's being chased by him, she's being tormented by him, but she's fighting back. She's defending herself pretty much on her own. Well, at least in the first one, pretty much on her own. She has the strength. Yes, she's scared. She's terrified, but she fights back. She has that within her to fight back and to survive and that will to survive. And she does it on her own. So I really like that. And I think that's like probably one of the strongest, earliest examples I can think of that just comes to me right now.
hmm
But and then you have another great example, Scream.
hmm
Denny Prescott, right? She's scared, she's terrified, she's getting tormented by Ghostface, but she's doing whatever it takes to survive. She's not depending on a man to rescue her or anything like that. It's her kicking butt, doing what she needs to do to survive. And I really like that. And then we're seeing I watched Ready or Not 2 recently. And
Oh yes.
of course, I saw the first one. And so the second one, with the sisters, the sister gets involved. But it's just like she's not some weak girl that is going to get preyed upon and is not going to be able to survive. She's like the ultimate final girl. Like she is handling business. She's standing on business and she is just doing whatever it takes to survive. And I love it. And I can't wait to see the evolution even further and how much
hmm
further the horror genre can take it with women and just more creative ways that they can come up with the whole, final girl,
hmm
scream queen plot. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think one of the another characteristics when it comes to the final girls because she would always have to be nice, almost virgin like. She was a nice girl, she did everything right. She didn't do drugs. She didn't go off and have sex with the hottest guy in the world. She was always the nice girl, as opposed to what we see now. The final girl actually has flaws. She's not. She actually has flaws. She has faults. She might
Yes.
be doing drugs, or she might have committed a crime, or she's trying to do something in order to survive or take care of her children. But
Yeah.
she's still a badass. It's like she's not weak. She doesn't need a man to depend upon her. I mean, just like I would say, even with Ready or Not 2, and They Will Kill You. Those are two examples of a different final girl that we have now as opposed to back then.
Yes. Yeah. So I
Mm,
saw They Will Kill You, and she's just doing everything to protect her sister.
mm,
Family comes first. I mean, she's willing to sacrifice herself. She's doing whatever it takes. She's strong. She's fearless. I love it. Because that's how I would be if I were in a
uh,
horror movie. I would not
mhm.
be scared. I would do whatever it takes to protect my family, my loved ones, no matter at what cost. So
But though I think you would put pants on and not fight in your underwear for 10 minutes, though.
no, definitely not. No, I'd be wearing like some leggings so I can get some good kicks in there and be comfortable and get down to business.
Yeah. Speaking of that, you feel women were disrespected or objectified during the early slasher films in the 80s of all that gratuitous nudity? Because during that time period, it seemed like we couldn't go a slasher film without a woman exposing her breasts or behind or even full frontal
Yep.
nudity. Do you
Yep.
think that they were being objectified or being taken advantage of?
Do I think they were?
Yes.
Yeah, a bit. I mean,
Mm,
it's like, yeah, there was that time period where it's like, they're gonna be topless.
mm,
Like a lot of people are gonna be watching the movie to see that. Like, I really don't think you need nudity on women in a horror movie to make it great. I do think it
mm,
is taking a bit of advantage of women and their sexuality and their bodies to draw more attention, more viewers, stuff like that. I honestly, I kind of appreciate my horror movies with less nudity and
mm.
more horror, more killing, more gruesome scenes, more gore, more story plot than just, a topless woman or whatever. But that was just the time period. And I think as we've progressed as a society, we're getting a little bit further away from that. There still are horror movies, of course, that are going to have that, but I don't think it's as blatantly obvious as it was back in like the 80s and the slasher films in that time period. So I think we're
Mm.
moving in a better direction
Yeah,
because
yeah, I think so too. Because again, when it seemed like back at that time, many Hollywood studios, which were run by men, thought that the average horror movie goer were adolescent boys, and especially they had to get the 18 to 35-year-old men. So they
yep,
feel as though the only way to get them was to have naked women in their films, which
yep,
really had nothing to do with this overall story or plot. Here's a naked girl. Here's this girl. Here's that girl. She's naked for about 5 minutes, and that's what they think that the horror fans wanted to see. Not underestimating that there are just as plenty of women that love horror films, not just teenage boys or
yep,
teenage boys or the 18 to 35 men. And I mean that's the reason why I was so mad how they marketed it, Jennifer's Body, because that film was not about the 20-minute makeout scene between Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried. It was about the friendship between Jennifer and Needy, not about that. That's the reason why a lot of people didn't like that film. But if you look down at the film and actually listen to what's going on and what's happening in the film, it wasn't about that.
yes. And then, I mean, you're using what's her face, Megan Fox.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
they chose like pretty much the most over sexualized female actress in the game at the time for that movie.
Hmm.
Like it was a direct choice to get more people to watch. Like, oh, it's Megan Fox. She's so hot. Let's have her in there. I mean, I get it. They want to make money. They want the movies to be successful. They need to make a profit. But I think we can get away from the boobs in every single movie.
Hmm.
Like that's starting to cross over into another genre almost, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
I still enjoy the old slasher movies. It's the nudity. I mean, it's whatever. They're older, you know, but I do like I just want like badass women just
Hmm.
kicking butt. You know what I mean? Holding their own, like being able to defend themselves. Like that's what I'm looking for, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, because I think once they realized that that was not the way to make a horror film. If you're going to make a decent horror film, you got to have at least have story characters that the audience likes to care about. A
Yeah.
very fascinating and very fascinating villain. You can add, of course, you can have your gore and the blood, stuff like that. But something like that is more relatable, so that way people can enjoy the story, not just seeing naked people running around.
and there's and there are tons of women who watch horror. Like
Hmm.
there's more and more.
Oh
Um
yeah.
so I mean, like I turn on horror movies and it's just like boobs everywhere and like sex scenes and I'm just like here we go. Like enough. Like I get it. boob, people like boobs, whatever, but can we get to the
Hmm.
actual story plot? Can we get to some actual substance? Can we get to some actual horror elements in this film
Hmm.
that's supposed to be horror? So, I mean, it is what it is, but
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, yes.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on the rape revenge films? Do you think that a male writer can actually make them faithfully very well, or do you think that should be more towards a female director?
I do not like rape revenge films
Mm,
whatsoever. I usually won't even watch them.
mm.
It's not something I want to be a part of just because there are so many women who have been raped, men too.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it's just like I watch horror movies for entertainment because I know they're not real. I know it's just for fun. But when you put those real elements into it that have damaged so many women, people,
Hmm.
and then, they have like I spit on your grave. The Hills Have Eyes have like that pretty bad rape scene in there. Like I won't watch it. I
Hmm.
won't watch it. And to go for your question on whether like a male or a female director should be doing it, I think at least if a female director is doing it, it might have a little more emotional realness to it, which again, I
Hmm.
don't want to see. But I don't really necessarily think male directors can get it right. And, I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't like to watch.
Hmm.
If I know a movie's got like a lot of rape scenes in it, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because unfortunately, suburban film has that scene at the end of the film, and I've watched that once, and I refuse to watch that film again. And like,
Okay.
I've seen some crazy stuff throughout my time, and
Mhm.
it's like, no, I can't watch that. No, I don't know if you've seen a suburban film, but if you know, but trust me, if you don't like seeing that, you don't want to watch that
Yes, I've seen
film.
parts of it, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I am I am good on that. I'll put on something with, you know, less of that stuff in it because it's
Mm.
just not. I know people that have been affected by it and stuff, and it damages lives. And like, I mean, I get it. I
Mm.
I can understand why people put it in because it does put that like real life horror aspect into it, and it shows just how horrific it is and how the minds of some people, like characters in horror movies, are sick and demented and twisted, and how that could be part of it. But for me personally, I'm not into it. I don't want to watch it. It's a pass for me.
Yeah, see, because I can understand your point because when "I Spin in Your Grave" came out during the early '70s, it seemed like the filmmakers wanted to out-violent themselves because I never actually called that a horror film. I called it an ultra-violent film because you had that, then you had The Last House on the Left, then
Yeah,
you
that's
had
another one.
you had Wes Craven's The Hills Have Eyes, and then eventually you had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it was for some reason during that time span, all these ultra violent films. And to me, I didn't see. I Spin in Your Grave was probably one of the early '70 films I did not see. Probably because I think my mother found out about it. She told me, "You better not watch that film."
Good mom
and
right there. Good advice.
and this is from a guy that guy that snuck in when he was 12 years old to go see The Exorcist when it first came out. But I understand the reason why she told me not to watch it because
Yeah,
eventually I did see it when I got older and I understood why. I said, "Man, ooh, ooh." Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, do you think women directors of horror films are finally getting the respect that they deserve?
I think so, yes, more and more so. And I believe when more women become directors, producers, when they have bigger roles in horror films, I think they're going to be appreciated even more because it's not just men that can make great films. Like women have great ideas too. And it's interesting to me too because the male brain and the female brain work differently,
Oh, yes, that's true.
very, very differently. So you can have you can have an idea and a story plot, and you can have a male direct one and a woman direct one, and you're going to end up with two very different films. They're each going to have different elements attributed to each sex, I believe. And so I can't wait to see more female directors and producers and bigwigs in the horror genre, and to see what they come up with and kind of give a different and newer take, um, than, some of the classics and horror films throughout the years where it's predominantly male staff and, bigwigs that are, making them and taking charge. So I am very excited to see what the future of women in horror looks like and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, because I would like to see a woman do a different take on Dracula as opposed to seeing it from a male's perspective. I'd like to see it from a woman's perspective.
Hmm.
I thought Nia DaCosta did a great job with 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I thought she did a fantastic job. Obviously, Caroline, she did a great job with The Substance.
Yeah,
Mary Lambert was great with her interpretation of the original Pet Cemetery. So
yeah.
there's a lot of women, the women directors are finally getting their some of the respect
Hmm.
that they're getting done. So I would love to see them get, you know, expand out more and say that, hey, look, a woman can do a good job directing a horror film just as a man can.
Yes, and I loved The Substance. I
Mm-hmm.
actually, I don't know why, for some reason, there's just been so many horror movies that have been coming out. I feel like horror is on an uptick. Like you look at movies that are out in theaters, and I'm seeing more and more horror the past, I don't know, I want to say like year and a half or so maybe. I've noticed it. But The
Hmm.
Substance came out and I kept hearing about it, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna watch it, but then something else came out. I got busy, you know, work, taking care of my family, whatever it was. I kind of forgot about it. And then I
Hmm.
had a friend mention to me, have you seen The Substance yet? Oh my God, you got to see it. And I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen it. So I watched it and I loved it. I loved it. And the ending, I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of blood. Like, I think, I'm not sure if it's The Shining. It's another movie may have outpassed it, but I believe at one point The Shining was like in the Book of World Records or something for having the most blood
Hmm.
used in a film, like when the elevators open and all that, and all the blood that comes out. But I was watching The Substance towards the end when the freaking
Yeah, I
creature
know.
monsters on the stage just
Yeah.
exploding, and everyone's getting sprayed, and I'm like, holy cow, this is gory. I love it.
Do you consider yourself a gorehound?
What was that?
Do you consider yourself a gorehound?
I like gore, yes. So I like it. Like the Terrifier movies,
Hmm.
I love the gore. I don't know what it is. Like I love it. And here's the thing, like I love it because I know it's fake and it's entertainment. But
No,
in real life, I can't deal with gore. I can't deal with blood.
it's funny. That's funny. Because
Yeah.
I ask that question every now and again, and most women always say, "Oh yeah, I'm a gorehound," but some of them will says, "Yeah, I can see it watching the movie, but in real life, I see blood. I was like, oh no, no, no."
Yeah. That's me pretty much. Because I know it's like entertainment. I know it's not real. But
Hmm.
yeah, in real life, no, no, I draw the line.
Yeah, trust me, I've seen some crazy stuff in my lifetime, so I can handle gore be it in movies or in real life. Uh, yeah, it's probably because I actually saw when Fangora was magazine was more prevalent during my time, so I got to see all the practical effects makeup with Friday the 13th or an American Woman where an
Mary
American Werewolf
Rose
in
London.
London.
Yeah.
So that gore never really bothered me, but I just love it when I see women such as yourself who are gore hounds because again, most people don't think women as gore hounds because they think they're they'll die of fright or actually might literally throw up by watching some of the disgusting crap that happens in some horror movies, especially with Art the Clown.
I love Art the Clown. But it's funny you mention that because I have like male friends. I have like my husband,
Hmm.
like I'll be watching something and it's just like Terrifier. And my husband comes in and he's like, "Oh my God, what are you watch?" He's like, "How can you watch that?" And he'll just walk out and he's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's a movie. Like it's fake. Like I don't know. They
That was
can't handle it." And they're like, "You're braver than I am." And I'm like, "I don't know. I just love
uh,
it. Like the Saw
that's got it.
films. I don't know."
It's kind of like my wife is, although it's like although she did go see Sinners, but that wasn't really gory. But she would never go see Art the Clown, or any of the Saw films because once she like sometimes she'll come downstairs and I got a horror picture on or I'm watching in front of my computer. It's like I should just go right back upstairs. And but
Yep.
it's funny. My mother had the opposite reaction. It's like when I'm watching a horror film and she sees stuff happening on the film, and she's like, "Mommy, how can you watch that stuff?" I said, "Mom, it's funny. I can't help it. I had a morbid sense of humor since I was a kid, and it's still prevalent to this day."
Yeah.
All right, one of my favorite questions. So how did you come up with and create "Don't Mess with Jess"?
So I've always been a huge horror fan, and I've watched people on YouTube, and I belong to a couple groups on Facebook,
Mm,
horror-based groups that I'm an admin for and I help run. And I've had friends for a couple years now. And they're like,
mhm,
"You know so much about horror. You have a true love for it. You have a passion for it. Like you're knowledgeable. You're not afraid. You're not outspoken. You're outspoken. You're not shy.
mhm,
Like, why don't you start a YouTube channel?" And I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. Like, I don't know who would watch. Like, in all honesty, I don't have very many friends in real life. Um,
mm,
I go to work. My whole life is pretty much just dedicated to raising my family. I'm one of those people that likes to keep their circle small.
mhm,
So I'm like, I don't know who would watch it. Like, who would be interested in it? But I'm like, you know what? What the heck? I'm getting older. Life's all about having fun and just kind of going for what you want. And if I have fun doing it, even if people don't watch it, it is what it is. It's something I think
mhm.
I would enjoy. So I just threw myself out there and said, you know what? I'm not getting any younger. Let's just go for it. And then for the name Don't Mess with Jess, I sat there for a while and I was, my notebook and I'm writing down different names to call the channel and I'm like, huh. And I've always been like a pretty tough chick. Like
Mhm.
I'm not afraid to stand up for myself. Even as a teenager, I never backed down to bullies. I've never been afraid of a fight and to hold my own. So pretty type A personality for a female. So I'm like, you know what? People don't mess with me. So let's go with Don't Mess with Jess.
Yeah, you're one of those women that would scare me because you seem very nice, very proper, but if you stepped her the wrong way, you're gonna get your ass kicked.
Yes. Yes. I was I'm retired army. So
Ooh,
I
well,
I don't mess
thank you,
around.
thank you for your service, first of all.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So yeah, I
Yes.
can I can definitely hold my own.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm like super Italian too. So, I got that temper, I got that fieriness in me. Um, yeah, don't mess with Jess. And I am
Mm.
very nice and, I am very sweet and I will protect my loved ones, to the ends of the earth. But you mess with me, you do me
Mhm.
dirty.
That's it. The
That's
the
it.
the the, the badass Jess is gonna come out.
Yes. As I've gotten
Yeah.
older, it's calmed down a bit. But yeah, I used to be pretty damn fiery back in the day. So
I can imagine so. Yeah, but yeah, my whole family was military. My father was in the Navy for 20 years. My brother was in the Air Force. I was in the National Guard. but unfortunately could not complete my basic training because I injured myself. So
Uh,
so
well,
I couldn't finish
thank you for
it.
their service and you and everything. Yeah,
Okay.
it takes a lot to do it. I'm like fourth generation military in my family, but the only
Ooh.
female.
Mm,
So yeah, it runs strong in my family too.
what was your MOS?
31 Bravo military police.
Oh, oh, an MP. Ooh,
Yeah,
like
MP.
like Gibbs from NCIS.
Yeah. So
So, my next question is, who is your favorite final girl and why?
favorite final girl. That's so hard for me. There's been a lot of good ones. Um, I love Laurie Strode. I
Hmm.
love Halloween. But for me, the Halloween franchise just kind of got like weaker and weaker and weaker. I really love Cindy Prescott, Nev Campbell.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I love her. I'm trying to think. You got me on the spot here. Who else? I love Sigourney Weaver and Aliens.
Hmm.
I love Sigourney Weaver and Aliens as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
I see. Were you, even though I hate when I bring this up, were you a fan of Halloween Ends?
Was that the newest, the last one they came out with?
Yeah, the last one it came out with, yes.
No, no.
I only say that because you brought up Laurie Strode because when bring up Laurie Strode, sometimes I have bring up stuff. So were you a fan or did you hate Halloween Ends? Because everyone knows it's a very big controversial thing to talk about in the horror community because you have the people who love it and you have the people who hated it.
So I'm in the middle. I don't love it. I don't hate
Mm.
it. It's just I felt if they didn't make the
Cheated?
movie, that would have been fine.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I,
I'm kind of in the middle too. I
yeah,
get what David Gordon Green was trying to do, and I give him so much credit for trying to do something different in the franchise, not the typical. We have Laurie, we have Michael, and that's it. You know.
yeah. I don't know. Like I understand she's been fighting him for all these years, blah blah
Hmm.
blah. But it's like she's getting older now, right?
Hmm.
And if I'm not mistaken, was she still in Haddonfield in the last one too?
Yeah, you're still in Hanfield. Yeah.
Hello. Why wouldn't you move like to Europe or something? Like you know he's gonna keep coming back. And you stay in the same damn town and you're like 70 years old at this point. Like, wouldn't you have learned your lesson through the other, I don't know, 10 freaking movies?
oh,
I don't get
oh,
like you're so
that's
worried and you know you're traumatized by it. And you have children. It's like just go move to like France or something. Like I doubt he's gonna be able to get a passport and somehow get on a flight or a boat over to you know another country. Like I don't know. It's just it drives me insane.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I like that one. So, as a mother, how would you as a mother, how would you introduce a child into horror?
Okay, so Scooby Doo. Scooby Doo. It's kid friendly, but it's still got the monsters. It's still got the
Hmm.
mystery, but it's, you know, G or PG, whatever. There's nothing
Hmm.
bad in it. There's none of that nudity. There's no like blood and gore. But it's kind of like for me an introduction into horror to see if like they would like it or if they're into it. There's a couple other movies out there, like Goosebumps.
Hmm.
I was a huge fan of Goosebumps. I was in the Goosebumps fan club when I was in like second grade. I used to read all the books. I used to watch it. I think it was on like PBS after school. I used to come home from school and watch like, you know, the Goosebumps show on PBS or whatever. But I think, and those are like horror elements, but they're
Hmm.
tailored for adolescents. So
Yes.
it's like, I think it's a good introduction. There's nothing, they still got spooky moments. They still have some jump scares. There's a storyline. So I think
Hmm.
those are some great ways to introduce children or to see if they like it.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. Scooby Doo. And oh, I love the live action Scooby Doo movies, by the way. I love them. I own them. I watch them often. My daughter and I would watch them. She loves them too. So I
Hmm.
think stuff like that is pretty innocent and age appropriate for children who have an interest in horror or, express that they may want to see horror or stuff like that. I think those are good ones to start with.
Hmm.
Hocus
Yeah.
Pocus. Hocus
Yeah.
Pocus
Hocus.
is
Yeah.
another good one.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of fascinating when it comes to children and horror because it for me it all depends upon whether or not the child understands the difference between reality and fantasy. Because I
Yeah.
did see when I went to monstermania.com a couple years ago, and I saw this little girl dressed up as Freddy, and she looked funny. But I was like, I hope she does understand. I hope she understands that Freddy is not real.
Did she have the little claws? The
Yeah, she
knife?
had a little nice claw. Yeah, nice claw. She had the hat, had the fedora hat, had a nice little red Christmas Freddy Krueger sweatshirt, and a nice little claw. I took pictures of it because she looked fun. She looked cute. Looked
That's
cute.
pretty
I said,
cute. Yeah.
that's cute. I mean, it's like this. As long as she understands that Freddy is not real, he's just a fictional character. So that's when it comes to me when you introduce kids to horror. You have to make sure that they understand. First of all, it's not ultra violent. There's nothing. There's something simple that they can understand. Because I think one of the best films I think I would just get is called The Monster Squad because I think that's a good horror film for kids to see because it has all the Universal monsters in it.
Yeah.
It's not overly scary. There's some funny scenes in the film.
Hmm.
There's nothing really frightening in it. I think that's one of the good horror film to see for kids to
Yeah.
introduce to see.
Monster House is a good one too
Hmm.
that I watched with my daughter. Like
Yeah.
I think the animated movies that are horror but like for younger kids, I think that's good too with what you're mentioning, separating like reality from art and from that because it's animated.
Hmm.
So they kind of know like, it's not real.
Hmm.
So that's another good one too that I enjoy.
Yeah. Uh, when I first saw watching Scooby Doo, I was like, okay, it's okay, but it's like for me because my morbid sense of humor,
Mm,
it just didn't really relate to me. It was just a cartoon. I just watched it because I like watching cartoons on Saturday mornings.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, so my final question to you, Jessica, is if you could create a horror film, what type of horror film would it be and what subgenre?
Oh, this is so hard. Um, I really like paranormal stuff.
Ooh.
I really like paranormal stuff. I'm one of those people who absolutely believes in ghosts, who
Mm,
absolutely believes in, dimensional beings, things we can't see, things we can't explain, you know, but happen. So I would probably do something in that subgenre of horror,
mm,
some kind of paranormal stuff. Um, I kind of like otherworldly horror.
mm.
Um,
Something like Paranormal Activity?
yes, yes, like that. But I also like a lot of like alien stuff,
Oh.
like like weird beings or like mythical, like cryptoids
Mhm.
and like Bigfoot and like skinwalkers and stuff like that.
Ah.
So that stuff interests me. The occult interests me a lot too.
Mhm.
So, like movies centered around the occult, um, even like cults. I like movies about like satanic cults and stuff.
Mhm.
So that
Okay.
I don't know, it piques my curiosity. So if I were to make my own movie, it would be like paranormal, like like otherworldly beings, like mythical beings, and like some weird like cult movie.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Jessica, I'd like to thank you very much for participating in my Women in Horror series. I will have your a little wait. I hate when I do this. I'll have your link to your channel in the description box below, so that way they will subscribe to your channel and welcome you to the horror community. You're going to find us that you're going to have great time talking to people such as myself because we all love horror.
Yep. 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 Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me on today. I loved getting to know you more and getting to explain why I love horror, a little bit more about me. And like you said, I love the horror community and meeting new people and connecting and sharing what we love together and just enjoying everything horror. So thank you so much again. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching today. Don't mess with Jess. And until next time, I'll see you in the shadows. Bye bye.
And of course, my name is Lamont Smith, better known as the Horror Mizamani G. And always remember, horror rules. I'll see you guys later, and please stay safe out there.